If you didn't already know, Lonzo Ball is a professional basketball player that plays for the Pelicans. He experienced much hostility from many NBA fans because of his father, Lavar Ball. His father was known for his questionable commentary. This put him in a negative light and made him the target of many jokes. In fact, many believed he'd become a bust during his time in the league. Though, surprisingly enough, Lonzo Ball would actually have a better rookie season than some notable NBA legends. In this video, we'll explain 10 interesting things you probably didn't know about Lonzo Ball. Number 10. During his rookie season, Lonzo was forced by the NBA to cover up his Big Baller brand tattoo. This was because the company had absolutely no sponsorship with the league. The NBA has rules against promoting bands. He strategically placed a bandage over the tattoo so that he didn't have to physically remove the tattoo so that he could avoid a potential fine. He wasn't the only one who had to cover his tattoo for such reasons. Rounds of this rule first made headlines when J.R. Smith got a tattoo of the Supreme logo. The tattoo raised concerns from the NBA, ultimately leading in Smith being told he'd be fined if he played with the tattoo visible. Iman Shumpert, Smith's former teammate, was actually required to remove an Adidas logo that he got shaved in his high top fade. Despite the complications his tattoo brought, the cover he had didn't seem to be much of a disruption. Number 9. There are a few incidents to consider when addressing the failed success of Big Baller brand. The first and most notable is between the Ball family and Alan Foster, Big Baller brand's co-founder. Foster had allegedly used a fraudulent scheme to steal as much as $1.5 million from the BBB and the Ball family. He had apparently threatened to slander the Ball family once he was confronted about the whole ordeal. Foster, who had owned 16.3% of the company, had already been taken to prison for a Ponzi scheme he committed just years back. Of course, the Ball family was completely oblivious of his criminal history. Foster ended up filing a lawsuit against Lavar Ball for embezzling over $2.5 million from the family-owned companies, though it was unclear whether or not these allegations made by him were true. Lonzo ultimately ended up severing ties with Alan Foster. Secondly, Big Baller brand shoes just weren't good. The shoes were physically hurting Lonzo. In a podcast, Lonzo discusses on how he'd need to change his shoes every quarter because of how often they'd rip. Lonzo made the choice of just switching sneaker brands. Number 8. During his high school years, Zoe was pulling off pretty crazy numbers. On his senior year, he was constantly getting triple-doubles. He'd average around 24 points, 11 rebounds, and 12 assists per game. He had also won Naismith Prep Player of the Year, USA Today Player of the Year, and Mr. Basketball USA. He also led his high school, Chino Hill, to a 35-0 championship run, and as a result, gaining a number 1 national ranking. It doesn't end here. Lonzo was a great defensive player in high school and was regarded as one of the best defensive players in the nation. As a junior, Lonzo would average about 5 steals and 5 blocks a game. This meant that he caused the opposing team to make 10 turnovers a game. Pretty insane if you ask me. Number 7. No, it wasn't because he started balling at the age of 2. Zoe had fallen in love with the number because that was his number in class growing up. He was always the second person called in attendance and was second in anything that might have involved an alphabetical order. As for his team, although Lonzo plays for the Pelicans now, he really had a love for the Lakers. During his first draft pick, Lonzo stated that he was willing to drop from a number 1 pick to a number 2 pick if it meant that he'd be drafted by the Lakers. Lonzo has many of his roots tied to LA. It's likely that his love for the number 2 also prompted him in making such a decision. Number 6. Besides appearing on multiple seasons of the family's reality show, Ball in the Family, Lonzo Ball has made appearances on other TV shows. In 2017, he made a debut on Fuller House. In that episode, he acted as himself and managed to do a pretty decent job. Lonzo has also appeared on multiple ESPN shows, including the very popular debate show, First Take. Lonzo could have likely used his acting as leverage as well if balling didn't go well. Number 5. One thing NBA fans recognize Lonzo for is his odd shooting form. Even his father has called his form an ugly-ass form. His form is likely one of the reasons that he isn't the best free thrower. Lonzo shot only about 45% of his free throws during his first season as a rookie. This number fell by roughly 4% during his second season. He only made 41.7% of his free throws during his second season. Though nonetheless, it got the job done for him as he tends to correct his form in time to deliver a good shot. During his college years, he made 41.2% of his threes, many of which were from NBA range. He made around 46% of his two-pointers in the form of jumpers. Number 4. Lonzo not only demonstrated his diligence on the court, but also in the classroom. Lonzo was able to achieve a GPA of 4.0 in high school. This clearly showed how outgoing and hardworking he was. Not many are able to balance sports and academics. Number 3. Lonzo Ball owns roughly 51%, or half, of Big Baller brand. His father and mother combined own 32.7% of the brand. Lonzo's signature shoes, the Zo 2, came from his family brand. The Balls wanted to be the first to break the endorsement mold, though it didn't work out as many shoe companies refused to partner with them. This meant they had to pave a way for themselves. BBB was offering the Zo 2 at an initial sticker price of $495. Although outrageous, Lonzo truly wanted to deviate from the norm, as he called normal bring. Furthermore, he stated that it's up to athletes to push forward the culture. Number 2. Although not on Damian's level of rapping, Zo is quite the lyricist. His song, Zo 2, which garnered more than 12 million views, is reflective of this. Zo has stated that if he wasn't playing basketball, then that he would have become a rapper. He's talked about many tracks that he has made that he has yet to release. He said he has more than enough tracks for a tape. In boredom, he preoccupies himself by writing lyrics. Though as we all know, the music and basketball industry don't share the same demands. Balancing the act of musician and basketball player is something many, like Lonzo, still haven't achieved. And number 1. Lonzo Ball picked up the basketball at just the age of 2. It's likely that his father wanted to prep him as young as possible to prepare him for the NBA. Not many NBA pros recount picking up the basketball until much later into childhood. As Lonzo continues to evolve as a player, so does the foundation he's built. He's still a relatively new player and has time to improve his skill set. Of course, there will still be those critiquing his play, but what matters most is that he's able to use the criticism he receives as a stepping stone to do better.